Good evening, welcome. We are now calling to order our regular board meeting today, Tuesday, August the 23rd. We do have all 7 board members in attendance, and I would like to ask Pastor Iverson to please come and lead us in prayer. I always look forward to when you come. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Let us pray. Our Father in heaven, you are the one who have given us life, health, and strength. Father, we thank you for another day's journey. For we're yet clothed in our right mind. We are yet, God, willing to forge on to do your blessed will. Now, God, we thank you for our school board. Thank you for our superintendent. Thank you for their commitment, their dedication, their perseverance to make our school system the best system that it can be. Now, God, we recognize it cannot be done without you. So we pray that you will be with them every day. Bind them together, God, as they forge ahead to create the greatest positive environment for our children that they can be in to learn. Thank you for our principals and teachers and administrative help and others, God. Help them to know that it is more than just about their job, but it is about a greater cause, and that is the development and training of our children that they may be the best citizens that they can be. Thank you, Father, for all that you've done, all you're doing, and all that you're going to do. Now, God, help us to lay aside those things that are of our own personal desire and put your desire first. For we know that your desire is always going to be the best. Father, this is our prayer in this hour. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
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 Amen. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. All right, we do have a revised agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the revised agenda?
Madam President, I move that we adopt the revised agenda as printed.
Okay, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries with 7 votes. We have quite a few scheduled public comments, so I'm going to read the rules and procedures as quickly as I can without twisting my tongue. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, our next agenda item is public comments. It is important that we follow the rules of order and protocol in making public comments, and they are as follows. Requests must be made in advance in writing to the superintendent's office by 4:30 p.m. on the Tuesday preceding the meeting date. Request must have specified the nature of the business to be taken up with the board and the name of the person who will address the board to be added to the agenda. Communications must be respectful. Discussing specific student or employee matters will not be allowed. Individuals who have concerns that are inappropriate to be solved in this venue are welcome to seek a problem-solving meeting with the superintendent. Immediate feedback by the board may not be provided. However, you may be contacted for follow-up by the superintendent or her designee. Public comments may not exceed 5 minutes, and the board chairman has full authority to terminate the remarks of any person whose comments contain personal attacks, exceed the time limit, or are otherwise inappropriate. A speaker may be considered disruptive who continues to speak when their allotted time has ended, when asked to stop speaking by the board chairman, or is otherwise inappropriate. If a person fails to comply when asked to terminate comments, he or she will be escorted to their seat out of the auditorium or off of MPS property, depending on the level of disruption. So the first person in our public comments is Ms. K.T. Brown.
Hello, and thank you.
Good evening.
I came here to really come down on something, but it has been taken care of. I don't appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Great. Here we go. item to speak about is educational opportunities afforded to students with disabilities. And Mr. Taylor, your time starts now.
Yes, how y'all doing tonight?
Good evening.
The last time I spoke with you all, I spoke in reference to our children who were diagnosed with an immune deficiency at a very early age. We've been in the system since 2010, and once we came to this school system, we asked for transportation privileges to be afforded to us under due to the Americans with Disabilities Act offering that to us. We were denied each year that we requested this, and I spoke thoroughly last year on this 3 different times. And then on, whenever, in October, I filed a grievance with the Office of Civil Rights. And they've returned a resolution agreement along with their findings that each one of you have a copy of. In their findings, they also they stated that when they interviewed the school staff that did our 504 meeting finally, that we didn't request transportation. And after reviewing the audio recordings and video that were provided, they did discover that, and it's notated in the paperwork for you. Also, during this investigation, they uncovered some other lies that you'll read about. And one of those being that whenever we requested the transportation and were denied, they told us that we didn't qualify because of the condition that our kids had, and then also the accommodations made, quote unquote. Whenever that took place, we questioned that with Miss Allen in December, and I explained to her that I felt like it was their right to this, and I asked for an example of a condition that does qualify for transportation. I was then given the two conditions that are temporary in nature that are afforded to the children with disabilities. Those were a broken arm or broken leg. Those were listed so that they couldn't deny somebody that had broken their arm or broken their leg a right to get to school if they had to walk to school. The other conditions that you have in your transportation policy say they have to walk along a roadway, and then if they have to go through over a waterway that doesn't have curbing, they also, if they don't have, if they have to walk across a highway, okay, each of those come into place when we had to drive from off Harrison Road behind Flower School all the way to Johnny Carr or Wilson Elementary when they first began. Now, the mileage that we incurred was tremendous. The time that it took was tremendous. It took a lot of things from our kids' lives they'll never ever get back. The opportunities that should have been afforded to them as kids. They weren't able to play sports. They weren't able to go to functions after school because we had to spend all our money going out there to get them and then going back home. We didn't have money to get them back to the school. There's opportunities they'll never get back in life. Our daughter was supposed to begin school last year. Did she get to? No. We got told in November where we could enroll her at. That's not right. No kid should have to do this. But I knew clearly in August that God had called me to this battle, and I'm going to continue to fight for the students with disabilities in this system. In the resolution agreement, if you'll turn to page 2, under the subset reporting requirement, I'm sorry, let's say, under the last subset of reporting requirement, by August, under number 2, by August 15, 2016, the district will reimburse the complainant for mileage to and from school, from home to school, using the complainant's home address at the time the students attended the school. For the days the students were present at school from August 2015 through December 2015, used the Internal Revenue Service 2015 private operated vehicle rate. If you'll notice also in the original complaint and the findings of the Office of Civil Rights, and you can view that later if you like, they clearly state that we requested the transportation back to 2010. Why would you give us a check just from August to December? And this is clearly not about money. It's clearly opportunities for these children that were taken from them. So I question you as a board that creates policy and enforces the policies. Where were you to defend our rights, my children's rights?
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. I hope that your children have a very good school year this year. Okay, the next person scheduled for public comments is Mr. Dillion Nettles, the Brain Brawl.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I promise I'm going to stay under my time today. I actually just want to share briefly with you this evening some information about the upcoming Brain Brawl Team Trivia event. You should be getting a handout passed down to you now. This is the third annual Brain Brawl event, which is not only the Montgomery Education Foundation's annual fundraiser, but it is yet another way throughout the year in which we rally pride and support behind our public schools. The event will take place on September 29th at the A.U.M. Taylor Center at 6 p.m. We are actually working to ensure every school in NPS is represented this year at the event, and we also work to make sure that it did not conflict with one of your board meetings. We want to solicit neighborhood associations, PTAs, local businesses, civic leaders, whoever we can to put up the $150 entrance fee in order to either compete on behalf of a school or allow that school to field a team of their own, which was the case we had for a lot of schools last year. The winners of this event will take home prizes of $1,500, $1,000, and $750 for the first, second, and third place, respectively. We'll also be raffling away giveaways all night, including gift cards to Walmart, Target, Office Depot, and plenty of other locations where we know our educators and community members will put those dollars to good use. Last year, MOK, Pruitt Baker Middle, and Floyd Middle were our winners, and I think that they were able to put the money towards. I know MOK wanted a new playground equipment, and I think at Pruitt Baker Middle they had some like resources that they need to complete some of the arts and enrichment projects that they were doing. And so we know these funds are getting really put to good use at the schools. They're excited to come out and field a team to participate and to see the public competing and putting in their money to make sure that they have an opportunity to get awarded these checks. Of course, if you know anyone who'd be interested, send them my way. If you have any questions, my contact information is attached, and I'd be happy to even answer any right now. I think I'm ahead of time.
Thank you.
Right,
This
thank
looks
you.
like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And thank you for not doing it on a board meeting.
Very good.
Looking forward to it. Okay, Mr. Glenn Pruitt, I don't believe is here. So we will move to the citizen comments. Those are the same, except you only have 3 minutes to speak. I'm not sure, it says Somerville Hill, is that?
I think we're lined up for a little bit later.
Okay. And then Don Brown?
Same.
Okay, all right, well then, we do not have citizen comments tonight. We'll look forward to hearing from y'all in a few minutes. All right, the next item is the superintendent's report.
Yes, good evening.
Good evening.
I want to begin with an acknowledgement, of course, of our school board, of staff that's present, of community, especially my pastor, Iverson, who's in the audience. Great to see you. Thank you for supporting us as we move through our wonderful mission of engaging, educating, and inspiring our students. I want to make a couple of commendations as we begin. The first is to administrative staff and support staff at the school and central office levels. They worked through the summer tirelessly, preparing themselves to fulfill the duties of their roles. And I'm just really grateful that we have such a great team of people who are willing to give their all for their role. Want to commend the communication department. They had some terrific back-to-school media efforts, some billboards, Mr. Porterfield.
Thank you very much.
And some radio spots that we were very happy to have. Want to also commend the central office staff who worked tirelessly in support of the 2016 convocation. I think it was pretty successful. We were able to get almost 4,000 people in and out and back to their schools in a very timely and safe fashion. So I'm really grateful. In my report, I just want to mention briefly some of the strategic plan goals and some of the things that have happened accordingly. We were able to graduate 68 summer graduates from all of the traditional high schools. The ceremony was very well attended, and as I looked out on the audience, I was just reminded, they were so excited. And I said, they really are in support of their children graduating. They want that just as much as we do. So if we can just get them to back us all the way through as we move these students to those graduation times, we'll be doing great. In goal 2, ensuring that every education professional is supported and effective. We have, from our State Department, 3, it's on the very back of the first sheet, if you're looking to follow me. We have 3 staff members from the State Department who are assigned to work alongside of our staff. Last year, they worked solely with MPS. This year, they have other systems that they're working with as well. And you're familiar with the new process of where our reading specialists that were last year literacy coaches are now only working with 3rd grade students. These 3 people, these 3 staff members are also working with 3rd grade teachers and students, mainly teachers, to help see if we can impact those 3rd graders. The Understanding Poverty presentation at Carver went very well. It was attended by at least 19 of our schools, but I think more than that, because those were the ones that we just asked to come. Those were the priority and focus schools. We asked that they bring teams, and they did. And this was a great session. Ms. Payne was really able to offer some specifics to the teachers that were there as to what they could do to support students and their families. Our leadership academies through AUM are underway, and you are going to be invited real soon to come and hear the presentations. I sure hope that each of you will be able to attend. The academies generally work on problems that exist in Montgomery Public Schools, and as a group, they try to come up with solutions. So in their presentation, they will share with us what the problem area and then what they propose to solve it. Under goal 3 of ensuring that students have access to support systems, just reminding you that we've got a lot of memorandums of agreements going on with state agencies. This is just a few of them. The youth facility, the detention facility, McInnes Schools, these are all agencies that we work with that actually serve our students. And we have teachers that are working in these settings to support our students that are going through difficulties and or handicaps, as you would see with McInnes School. We also have some interagency agreements. Montgomery Mental Health Authority is still working with us. We have the River Region School Psychiatry and Associates that are working with us. I think last year they served about 400 of our students. Family Sunshine Center, and of course the Helping Montgomery Families Initiative is still going, and we are supporting that. Our Magnet Equity Committee, we'll be meeting next Tuesday again. We've invited Dr. Tony Thacker from the Research and Development Office at the State Department to kind of lead and facilitate that process as we move forward. District accreditation is underway. Next year, that team will be coming back. So Dr. Nettles has gotten everything organized, and I'm hoping that all of you already know your teams. I listed them here. So you'll have people that will be calling you to come and meet, and we'll be on our way with that. Goal 4, ensuring that every school engages parents and community partners in support of student success. Just want to share some of the contributions that happened over the last 2 or 3 weeks with us going back to school. Pastor and Ms. Huntley of True Divine Baptist Church donated 230 backpacks filled with school supplies. Lear Corporation donated 250 backpacks just to South Lawn Elementary. So that was able to take care of almost every student in that school. Academy Sports and Outdoors gave 500 uniform vouchers to our Learning Supports Department, and the social workers got those out to students. Bombshell Media collected 1,500 items through their River Region Stuff the Bus event. Ms. Ella Bell provided 40 scholarships for students to attend that Alabama State SkyCap summer program. Hyundai provided 400 backpacks filled with school supplies. Central office staff got involved, and we collected uniforms for students, and I mean, everybody was very generous, and I think we helped a lot of students. Montgomery Education Foundation, Parks and Recreation, their summer academic and recreational services to our students are to be commended. So we're very grateful for that. That does not, even though I place those things under Goal 4, we still have a lot of work to do to truly ensure that our parents are engaged with the schools. And we talked about the fact that engagement may not look like it did 10 years ago or 20 years ago. So we're poised to understand that, but at the same time to make sure that there's some way that we connect to them and they connect to us. Some other briefs regarding back to school perspectives. We lost some students the first day, but we found them, so I'm sure you heard about it. Kids got on the wrong buses, and some of them were middle school students and a couple of high school students. This was new. That's a new one for us. Yeah. We had some hiccups and are still working through a few with the registration process and zone variances. And we had some scheduling snafus at the high schools. One in particular that we checked on today. Again, Park Crossing has had some real issues, and I'm sure you got phone calls about that.
Yes.
But we are working diligently. I meant to say with transportation, there are also, we need some more bus drivers. We really do. We have bus drivers that are having to do A and B trips. So we're working on that piece, and we've got to work on getting some crowd situations on the buses worked out. So if you hear anything there, just know that we are aware of it. Talk to Mr. Cox and to Mr. Dotson, and we're trying to work out all of those details. I'm sure you've heard by now that we have a new state superintendent of education, Mr. Sentence. And there's a little bit of information there about him if you haven't had that. September is Attendance Awareness Month. So Learn Supports and Communication will be doing some really engaging things to try to help get families aware of how important it is that for every child to be in school every day.
Yes.
So we're going to be working on that Attendance Awareness Month, and you'll be hearing some more about that for September. And that's the report for tonight.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? This was an excellent report. We have a lot going on. All right, we now are going to go to 7, receive as information, the July financial report, Mrs. Gruden.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Before you have the July financial statement from Montgomery Public Schools, In accordance with Alabama law and Alabama State Department of Education, all the bank accounts controlled by central office have been reconciled up to July. We'll now discuss accounts payable and payroll for the month of July 2016. Accounts payable expenditures were $3.5 million. Payroll expenditures was $18.4 million, with $13.1 million being in salaries, $5.3 million being in benefits. We'll now discuss the general fund. General fund is usually a fund that we have control over and have more discretionary use of. Through July 2016, we're at 10/12, which is at 84% of the budget. Ad valorem is coming in a little low than usual, it's coming in at 87%. Sales tax collected today is $18 million. This is down from $2.7 million from last year. The general fund reserve, I want to make a correction there. Instead of 4.6, it's actually 5.8. There was a receivable that was entered after I printed the report. So the decrease is actually $2.2 million from last month. September for the, special revenues for July, we're at 64% of the budget revenues, and other financing sources. Expenditures are 74%. Special revenue ended with $9.1 million. Capital projects fund, as well as construction is taking place. For the month of July 2016, we have 1.7 million capital expenditures for this month, but total we have 14.7 million. And the capital projects fund ended with $9.8 million. Also in your package, if you would flip to page 4, that's going to be the pie chart that really explains how we spend our general fund expenditures. And we always come in pretty much on target every single month. This is pretty much how we spend our money. We spend 61% on instructional services. We spend 18% on instructional support, 16% on instructional support, 11% on operational maintenance, 4% on auxiliary services, 4% on general admin, 1% on other, and 3% other sources. If you go to the next page, that's the big page you always want to look at. That's going to be our ending fund balance. Right now, we're ending the fund balance with $17 million, and we needed about 18.7 to end with September. So we're doing a little better than we expected. We can just hold tight. We're getting really close. If you look at the very last page, that's going to be a breakdown of your capital outlay. That shows you where our construction funds are going and how much we spent thus far this year for these construction projects. Do you have any questions? Any questions, board members?
Thank you, Ms. Wiggins. I really appreciate all of your hard work. Excellent report. 7B1 Center, Ms. Beverly Calloway.
Good afternoon. It's so good to see you all on the talent board. I've seen you because you have work in the summer. It's a short one, but we're back. I wanted to speak to you today. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. About what is going on at the One Center. We have a lot of exciting things going on, not the least of which is we're in the process of the remaining space at One Center being sold as we speak, which is, we think, going to be a very good thing. We hope that the company we've been working with for over 8 months now, that is just an outstanding company, will end up with the remainder of the space of One Center. We'll do all the build out, all of the reconstruction of the remaining part. And that's what I've been working on for nearly 2 years now. First, I want to talk about, before you go through your notebooks, I want to talk about some of the programs, and then I'm going to let my distinguished colleagues talk about the overall site plan that we've been working on. But some of the programs that we've been working on at One Center are an arts program. As you probably know, for the entire time that I've been working on the project for 2 years, I've had included a performing arts theater for our students. We currently don't have a place for them, a permanent home for our students to perform. And I'm a product of Montgomery Public Schools. I went to Bellingrath Junior High School. I graduated from Lanier High School in 1973. I hate to admit that. And I was a classroom teacher as well. So my degrees are in education. My heart is in education. My heart is in the arts. I came back to Alabama in 2008. I live in Macon County and traveled 50 miles to come to Montgomery every day to work on the One Center project. I have certainly had our whole entire school system at heart every day when I'm there in working on programs that will work with your programs. Not compete with, but accentuate and help your programs. Ms. Allen knows this. I speak with her probably once or twice a week. I call her, I bounce things off of her. We have collaborated on many ideas, some of which we've moved forward, some of which we haven't. We are working on, in addition to an arts program for our youth, and that will be the symphony, the youth ballet. They are all very interested in having a permanent home at One Center for our children to have not only programs during the day, but to have after-school programs and Saturday programs, not only for Montgomery Public School students, but for surrounding counties as well. A lot of our rural counties, I live in Macon County, Bullitt County, Lowndes County, Butler County, a lot of these counties do not have an arts program. They just can't afford to have teachers to teach these children. They have all told me over the years that they would bring their children to Montgomery if we had a place for them to come and take lessons. It is often said, if you're looking at a true STEAM facility, science, technology, engineering, the arts, and math, that if we don't give children an opportunity to expand their creativity through the arts, we are really missing out. And we have some really gifted students in Montgomery. So we have the arts program that I've been working on, the agriculture program that I've been working on. We are looking at partnering. Alpha is going to be a corporate sponsor, and you'll notice in your notebook I've got about 20 companies and entities there that are going to help sponsor it. It is a program that Montgomery Public Schools will be able to utilize and add to your menu of career tech programs, even though it would not necessarily be in the Career Tech Center, because we would have greenhouses, possibly a rooftop garden for all of our students to be able to come from all the high schools and participate with. I spoke with Mr. Jacob Davis. He works for the Alabama State Department of Education, head of FFA and CTE. He came out to One Center and said it would just be an excellent cost-saving measure to have one big agriculture program instead of trying to duplicate it at all the high schools. Some of the high schools already have FFA programs and agriculture programs, and that's wonderful. But we could have a big one and one big FFA program at One Center. We are working on an energy center there, General Quast, and you'll see letters of support from several people in the community, business people in the community, that are supportive of having programs there at One Center. General Quast, who is the commander of Maxwell Air Force Base, would love to move Starbase to One Center, and we're collaborating about that. I'm working with Ms. Sykes, who is head of that program, and we're doing feasibility to see if that will work. So there are a lot of things. There's a program going on that I'm really not at liberty to discuss because it's a private business, but you will absolutely love it when we're able to talk more about it. So I wanted to talk about these things and about where we are with the sale of One Center. You may hear some exciting news this week. We've been working very hard on that, and it's really going to be exciting moving forward. So I want you to know, because the other thing, and I'm going to end on this, I know there's concern that if we had, we would love to have another school or two at One Center. We have room for that. I know there's concern that with LAMP being there, with Impact being there, that another school might be too many students under one roof. I have spoken to two different construction companies, the CEO of the company that's building the high school in Auburn. He said, absolutely not. We build these high schools, there are 2,200 students, 1,500 students under one roof is certainly not too many, and certainly not too many. I literally rolled out the site plan and asked that professional question, and the answer was that would not be too many students under one roof. We've got two major traffic arteries out there. If you look at Lanier High School, which can hold up to 2,500 students, you've got a one-way street in front of Lanier High School that has its own problems being a one-way street. But we're in pretty good shape at One Center. So we would love the opportunity for you to consider another school at One Center. And I would love to invite you to come, and I will, and I'll schedule hopefully a meeting where you can all come together at the same time so we can show you what this will look like. And what I'd like to do is turn this over now to my distinguished colleague, Mr. Don Brown in Somerville Hill with Brown Studio Architects. They have done a revision of our site plan at One Center to just show you what it could look like. That layout is in front of your notebook, and then they have a model they'll work from as well. And then at the end, while they're setting up, I just wanted to show you one of my favorite books, and I just want to share this with you. This is just a personal note, is The Cathedral Within, and it talks about the great cathedral builders and what was their legacy going to be. They knew that what they did today would never be the end, that it would be hundreds of years from now. And I would like to think that what we do today with One Center will long outlast our working lifetimes, and we will leave a wonderful legacy for our children and grandchildren to call home. Thank you. I'm going to turn it over now to Somerville.
My name is Somerville Bill with Brown Studio Architecture. Here to talk to you about, we've worked with Beverly for a little over a year looking at opportunities that have presented themselves at One Center. One Center is a very large enclosed space that rubs shoulders both with a significant investment from the city standpoint and a significant investment from your standpoint. And as we've looked at it and looked at different people, prospective tenants, it's been clear that it can kind of go one or two ways. It's either going to be a bunch of tenants that really have nothing to do with each other, rubbing shoulders with one another, or it works as a cohesive campus. And the cohesive campus mindset has made a lot of sense to us as we've begun to market it to potential tenants. And that's, generally speaking, what Beverly has gone through for you is all the numbers of people she's worked with as she begins to look at this more as an academic and educational and civic campus mindset. It's a large space, and we feel like the best way to handle it is to look at it and how it can work together, not just try to fill it up. So with that in mind, let me orient you on this. This is McGee Road at the top, north, the east-south
Turn it a
boulevard.
little bit so we all can see.
Yes, ma'am. I'm trying to make them be able to see too, so I'm afraid we're not quite far enough back. If it'll, that's about what we can do, I'm afraid. So this is the City of Montgomery Police and Fire. This is LAMP, the athletic fields, the MPS offices, and the Impact proposed site. An idea was put forward that the academic or the administrative offices would like a presence onto the McGee Road side of the complex. That's entirely covered by One Center at this point. Also, there was an idea put forward of creating a little separation off of the side between the Impact and administrative offices and the rest of the One Center. About 30 feet, I believe, is what was asked for. But one of the dilemmas we've been working with is we're looking at this site comprehensively, and that's sort of what we'd like you to do with us a little bit right now and sort of plant the seeds of some ideas, is you have the LAMP site and the MPS office and Impact site occupying the west side of the campus, the City of Montgomery Fire and Police occupying the east side, and the remainder is this large amount of space under roof with a parking lot on the east-south boulevard and a parking lot on the McGee Road. And there's not really good flow and circulation within the site at this point. It's become these isolated breakouts. So with the sort of idea put forward of the presence on the McGee Road and the separation between the mall, one center, and the building, the administrative building, we put forward an idea that says instead of 30 feet, maybe we go 60 feet. And with 60 feet, we can begin to create flows internally, automobile flows, between parking lots on the north side and the south side. The separation widens up enough that it's no longer sort of an alley feel and becomes more of a throughway feel, that you could plant trees and vegetation and make it a nicer presence onto the side of the administrative and impact building. Create something of a plaza on the McGee Road side, the north side of the administrative building, that would allow visibility back to McGee Road. So this becomes more of a visible presence within the city. And then with this plaza concept and this road running adjacent to the plaza, the arts theater that Beverly mentioned is something that she's been working on for a while now. We see this becoming more of a center of educational resources within the city. And if this arts center were able to work with the school system here, maybe with school systems outside the city of Montgomery, then you begin to draw people in. So this has room for bus drop-offs. It's about a 500-foot strip through this development, bus drop-offs. And with that in mind, the logic of putting an additional school here becomes real easy to visualize. And so the seed we want to plant with you is that if this becomes, with the investment you've already done and with the sort of civic presence that this plaza becomes and the office building becomes, then you've really got sort of a campus feel, and why not take a little additional advantage of that campus? It's a very stabilizing influence. And if there's an opportunity to have another piece of the school system benefit from that, it might be worth your consideration. So the overall plan is to make it more of a comprehensive campus. There's the common spaces from the mall that are nicely lit spaces, skylights, nice open areas would be on the east side of these proposed school and theater areas. Those could begin to work as presentation or jobs fair or career fair or those types of civic functions that could work in cooperation with the school system. And then future tenant space over here, depending on the needs of the school system, the theater system, would be developed in a cooperative way that would work with the school system in sort of an outreach as a civic component. So with that in mind, I guess that's the general concept. None of this is done, and please don't start counting parking spaces over Lamp. This is very conceptual. But the idea is something that we're putting forward based on a response really to something that the school system put forward. And we think it's worth at least planting the seed for your consideration.
I'd like to make a comment.
Sure.
I was over there today eating lunch at this place that I've never been, and I looked over and saw where it said One Center.
Right.
Okay. And I'm very impressed. I like your idea. Because it still looks abandoned, even though, and I think the more we fill it,
Right.
the more the whole concept that our mayor had was to, get that side of Montgomery going. I would hope that my fellow board members would consider it. And I think they have to a degree, because I've heard that we were considering putting an alternative school there, whether it's that or not, it's still students.
Right.
It's still making use of unoccupied space.
And
I think it's a brilliant.
And from our standpoint, if there is the arts theater there, logically, something that would benefit from that would be nice to be immediately adjacent to it. But really, anything that went in at this location would, I think, instantly rise in popularity because of its proximity to these other programs.
And just looking what Beverly introduced us, I went through the letters, and just the people that have written these letters, it's impressive that you have that much support.
And they've all been to One Center. I've probably had 150 meetings at One Center. They have literally been sitting.
Well, it caught my eye, because I was just with some colleagues, and I was checking out the restaurant across the Southern restaurant, and I looked over and I went, how pretty. I mean, it really looks classy.
Now, the Arts Center, who would go in there?
Well, it depends. That would work one of two ways. If Montgomery Public Schools wanted to put a school in there,
Right.
and you needed the Performing Arts Theater, then that would belong to Montgomery Public Schools, and we would work that out, how that would develop.
But do people like Montgomery Ballet or Montgomery Symphony or?
Right. Then, but if you didn't want the Performing Arts Theater, then I would work from a private grant foundation, the public-private funding source to fund the Performing Arts Theater. But at the same time, if it's there and if it's next to even admin, I mean, you could all even use it for a board meeting. It could be a multi-purpose.
I just think it would be a good collaboration for like BTW, and then you've got right out the back door, you've got the arts.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, and not only that, but the synergy. I mean, let's, for example, just say we've got Impact next door and they have a construction class in there. Why can't the construction students and the art students design the sets for theater performances that could be going on in the Performing Arts Theater? Let the construction company build the sets, let the art students design it. A great exercise for the construction students would be to read the play. Now they're learning something about theater that they would, anyway, there could be a lot of synergy.
Makes a lot of sense.
All under the same roof. They don't have to go anywhere.
Well, it's like you were saying, campus feel. I look at it like a college campus, you've got, university, you've got different college campuses,
Absolutely.
but they're all right there together.
Absolutely.
So like you say, they all feed.
Right, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, I was looking, and this becomes a major project because you're cutting a road through an existing building that's already laid.
Right.
My concern is, have you looked at the possible cost of where this funding would come from?
We have not looked at the cost of the funding. What's already been proposed on behalf of the school system was that 30 feet be demolished off of the side of this building, and that enough of the front, the McGee side of the building be demolished, that this building then can be seen clearly and accessed clearly from the McGee Road side of the property. So with that level of demolition already proposed, we thought, and we've already been thinking in terms of it's kind of an awkward situation to have this north end parking and the south end parking and no logical circulation within the site, particularly now that Montgomery City has one side and the school system has the other side. So we'd already discussed the ideas of demolition to connect. With that 30-foot of demolition already being proposed, we thought it might make sense to put that as our location. And it could work well with circulation for bus drop-offs, depending on where people are coming from, for the theater space, as well as the school. But this is all very much a proposal of an idea. We have not gone into any specific details on it.
There are examples across the country today, if you real quick. Repurposed malls is one in Nashville, it's just fabulous. The University Vanderbilt has put together. There are, some 30 years ago, I did the design work, did the drawings for River Chase Calloway. And that's a classic mall. It's a big shell, steps inside. What we're trying to do now today is to invert that model and think of it very differently, and just putting things inside this shell. So we can see what others can't see. We know that we're going to have to open up components of this, face it to the outside, think about this differently. The old adage, you build it, they'll come. Well, you've already built. The kids are coming, but there's no good circulation in this whole site today. It's going to be really clear to you before too long. So what we're trying to think of is how is this going to work downstream so that it becomes a real big place where your students are, what kind of functions and activity and circulation needs to be created to support that. So a good portion of this may be completely repurposed and torn down and moved. It's not hard to do. The idea here is to create synergy by compatible functions, some private, some public. And what we're doing today is just to give you kind of an advanced look of the possibilities for you to consider.
Yeah, and the added benefit of this, because one of the another challenge we face with this is natural light, getting light in. It's a lot of room that's very far away from any access to natural light. So one of the added benefits of something like this is the windows it allows you to open up to the interior. And we've already thought in terms, we're working on a health clinic site out there already, of how you begin to make that a presence from the outside as opposed to the old mall concept of a presence from the inside. So this begins to allow you to do that. And I think that's part of what you've already been addressing on the buildings you have out there, is how to start bringing some light in where maybe it wasn't already.
My concern, I was going to ask basically what Robert thought about. But I was looking also at the fact that this was an enclosed area. So, you know, what happened down on, what was this street across from the downtown? The theater, yeah. I'm just looking at the roofing situation, but I'm sure as architects you all have thought about that. But you're talking about cutting into a roofing area to make this possible.
Sure.
Plus, we're already out there with impact. So I'm looking at you saying you're expanding, so you're expanding from the other side of impact. This won't impact, won't impact.
No, it shouldn't. And the demolition part of it, the part dealing with the roofs, is already a proposal that came from the school system. And the road is a good question, because the funding and how that would be managed, and if it could be done internally, similar to the existing parking lot, that's a level at the grade level. But as far as the roofing system goes, if we demo this just to allow for the 30 feet separation, we're still going to be dealing with those roofing issues. And really, that's going to be probably more of an issue for the one center side than it is for the impact side, because the impact side roof is raised up a second floor and completely separate from that system.
The others you're looking at, the art center and the proposed school, that's all one story, right?
Yes, sir. It is as it stands. It's one.
How many square feet are in that?
Well, I've actually got the square footage in each one of these.
It's roughly 256,000 square feet that remain in the area that you and the city don't own.
I'm asking about the green.
Yeah.
Proposed school.
Hold
Oh,
on one second.
okay.
I think
I wonder what that
I need that.
square footage was.
And to your point, though, we want to be clear that walls in this are very conceptual, so they move either way based on somebody's actual needs.
Right.
What we're showing right here is 73,000 plus square footage in the proposed school site.
73.
73,444 is an easy. If you want to get down to the
Art
square.
center.
How many square feet is the plant building? Do we know, I know, Mr. Dotson, that you can't be pulling these numbers off the top of your head like that. And I don't expect you to, but does that sound?
Well, and
For a
lamp,
high school?
lamp is 2 stories too. So,
Right.
yeah.
What we had for BTW was auditorium included. When we were going to move them to Lanier was 90,000.
Okay,
Is what we needed for them, including the auditorium.
okay.
We did the programming for BTW, and we subconsciously looked at all this to see what would work. But what we have to consider at the same time is just not raw square footage. We have
Right.
to look at how it's going to work from the outside, how you access it. What we have to begin to think about is to solve the problems that have not yet been solved, and that is access to the entire. We need to figure out a way to get a road behind what the city owns now, which wasn't thought out. It needs to be added and altered. All that can be worked. There needs to be a real clear access by people that are coming toward this. How do I get to the school system? How do I get to the offices of both schools? What clarity of approach for parents, people who are not familiar with it? How's all that going to work? Stuff has been put there, but we've got to clear up access or we'll have missed a real opportunity to get it right. A real formative period here and a real opportunity, just giving you the ideas of what can happen, including that wide roadway. And be glad to come back another time when you ask us to. We've exceeded our Snowden 12 minutes. I've got a stopwatch here.
But as far as cost and that sort of thing, the developer absorbs a lot of cost as well. So there's a partnership there, a relationship.
Right now, in its existence, or something, coming off of McGee Road, is there a passage that we could go around Lamb into that west-south parking lot?
Well, and don't look at our rendering, because we're
There's
not.
no way to get there?
Not right now.
But then
The
there are
fields will be
plans.
there. Right, not right now. You were talking about coming off of McGee.
Right.
To go through and then go back over to the other side. No, there is not.
There's no way.
No, not right
So,
now.
another question. Presently, if you came off McGee Road and you were going to Lamb, that means you've got to go around the city police department. If you stayed in that parking lot.
No, if you
do
come
you
up
have to
McGee
take
Road, you're gonna
classes
turn
for
into
that?
Lamp. The front of Lamp will be on McGee Road. So you would go there. Now, if you wanted coming off
Yeah.
McGee Road, wanting to
Yeah.
go to Impact, you'd have to turn on Governor's Drive and go around.
Oh, yeah, you got
Right.
another house,
Yeah.
plus you got another,
Right.
yeah, so that's right.
Exactly.
Okay, so it is some, yeah, I see, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We appreciate your information.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I
Very
know.
interesting.
But when it's trying to take, I know that's where the road was.
Okay, our next item is the proclamation in support with peace within Montgomery and MPS Peace Day. Mrs. Davis.
Good evening. Good evening. MPS has been invited to again participate this year in the City of Montgomery's Peace within MGM, which coincides with the UN's International Day of Peace, and that will be September 21st. Last year, we had students in our schools sign the peace pledges, and on the pledges, they just listed their ideas of what they thought would make for a more peaceful community, state, and world. And those peace pledges were collected and used as a part of the city's broader efforts to celebrate the day. Well, this year, what we're asking you all to do is to declare September 21st as MPS Peace Day. And that day will be included on a list of citywide events that will be happening during the month. So that's why you have the proclamation that's biased before you. And it's also part of our larger marketing efforts to connect our students in schools to positive events that are happening in the broader community to help promote what it is our students are doing, and also to show that we are, students in schools are good members of the community. So that's what you have before you.
Thank you. Okay, the next item, Mrs. Camille Finley, resolution for chess and school project.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Before you is the proclamation for the resolution for our Cheston Schools project. We received the Cheston Schools grant in March, and part of the grant is designed for the teachers who are teaching chess during the school day, as well as after school, to collect data in support of our efforts to prove that chess in the classroom supports critical thinking skills. And so through the Department of Education, that data is being collected. And so our goal was to have you all support that resolution that's before you.
Any questions? Thank you. This is
How much was the grant for?
$11,500, I believe.
For one school year?
For the first year, so it's a 3 years, and it's for training and support for, we trained, I think, 9 teachers. 6 of them are going to be teaching during the school day at Hickson and Davis, and the other 3 are sponsoring after-school programs at Beverly and Lanier.
Mrs. Finley. Oh, go ahead.
They get $11,000 per year.
No, $11,000 per year.
Per year?
Yeah.
Okay. So, I just had a question. I wanted to make sure I read this right in the packet. So, the one, with the staples. So, we have, where it says Montgomery City Schools feeder pattern, and it has Davis, Nixon, Bellingraph, and Lanier.
Yes.
Are those the numbers, are those the students that are in those clubs? And-
Those are going to be the number of students we're expecting to serve during the
Okay,
first year.
right, okay. That's awesome. Any other questions?
I like it.
Thank you. That's awesome, yeah. Okay, next, Mr. Dotson, Lanier Bathroom Renovation.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Madam Superintendent, Madam Chairman, members of the board, you should have in your packet document with the bid tabs and the awarding bid for the Lanier bathrooms phase 1. If you recall, we talked about this for the end of the school year. We're just now coming around with the contract. We're delayed with the architect. We had some issues with fire safety, if you will, and fire alarm. As you know, Lanier is a very old building, so it's grandfathered in. We thought we were going to have to put the entire project on hold, but we were able to work to connect to the hood system in the lunchroom, so we're able to move forward. This is phase one. It'll be just, it's going to be just the first floor. They're going to work in the evenings and work from the outside. So we're actually we're going to work from the outside. Go ahead and knock out the wall, and they'll work from the outside going into the bathrooms. We'll have the actual doors closed at that, portioned off at that time. I talked with Principal Dr. Williams. He's okay with that. He wanted to actually get something going into the school, and so we're going to go ahead and move forward with that. We think this is going to be about a 75-day project. We're hoping to have it done in 45. We're stretching them for that, but we're not going to pay them for the early completion. But we're looking at a max of 75 days to get this done. This will refurbish the bathrooms. You'll have the cement stalls. You'll have air, heating and air in the bathrooms, ventilation, the whole 9 yards. And then for the summer, we'll start on the next phase, which is the next 2 floors.
All right.
I'll answer any questions.
Okay, say that again. Okay, I've got heating and air, ventilation. What was the first? Did you say concrete?
Yes, concrete wall stalls. You know, you have the wood stalls and troughs in there now. We're basically going to update it.
Okay.
Yeah.
You have a trough.
You'd be worried if I had.
The boys' bathroom still has a trough in it. All that'll come out.
Well, I know this is very long overdue, and I'm so excited. Yeah, it's not going to compromise the way that the school looks from the outside.
No,
They're going on the outside.
No, ma'am. Well, it's actually the bathroom, you'll enter from back in the courtyard part, so you won't even see it from Court Street, and they'll work on that.
But it's long overdue.
It is so long.
I want to just thank you very much.
You've probably been in the mail.
I certainly have. And I had, and the one thing that pushed this that made me, well, I wanted this to see it happen because I had the opportunity some years ago. Bot Starr came to the school to speak, and I had to show him the restroom, and I carried him up in there, and boy, I was shocked. I said, my God.
He probably said it looks like
It looked like absolutely.
If you recall, the total project when we actually costed out was a little over $800,000. Now, since we're finally doing that, like 8 years ago, now that we're finally doing it, it's probably going to run around $1 million, a little over $1 million. I think phase 2 is about 600,000 plus.
It's worth.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Dotson. Okay, we've got certified personnel evaluation handbook and the classified.
Wait a minute, I got
Oh, did I skip? I'm so sorry, Mr. Dotson. Forgive me, y'all keep me straight. Capital plan. You're right.
If you would discard the one you received, Superintendent Allen pointed out an error, and I don't want you all to walk away with one that's incorrect.
Thank you.
We were buying a school for $15,000. That wasn't
I like
happening.
that idea. We'll take it.
15,000, don't work. How large would it be?
Probably we have to put those bathrooms.
As you know, I come to you each year with our capital plan, and as you know, the capital plan is simply a roadmap, if you will, or that the state wants to know that we're actually looking at our plan and planning on our facilities. It's a 5-year plan, so you see the years will be up until that point. I think this year he indicated we could only go up to 2021, I believe, is what he said in the letter. So we've got to address that way. This isn't written in stone, but it's just a conceptual framework of what we see that we need. You'll see that a lot of it is based on some of the things that we had in the magnet options, also some things that are long overdue. The foundation of this plan comes from the Young's 2010 study. That's the foundation. We just work from there. As you can see, first is Park Crossing, which should be finished in 2015, because we're thinking the gym is ready now. We're expecting the pod to be ready in December. Next will be the Loveless program, which is funded in 2015, so that's why we have 2015 there. So it'll be ready the following year when we're actually funding it for next year. Now we get into 16. You've got the bathroom phase, with their bathrooms, and phase 2 right here, which is comes in 16. comes in 17 rather, which will be next year, and that's the 608,000 for phase 2 that we talked about, Mr. Dean. Next is the Jeff Davis HVAC. If you recall, we started on the HVAC system, and we only did phase 1. We were going to do some more this summer, but we weren't able to get everything, all the ducks in a row, so we could actually do that. And believe me, I've been hit with phone calls from other teachers who their part of the building was not done, and they want to know when are we going to do it or how are we going to do it, because some of the teachers are enjoying nice, comfortable air, and some still have, heat pumps and those kinds of things that we're using and not working very well. So we have to get to that. Now, this is actually all 4 phases here. Now, we can phase this out, or we can do it all at once, or however we want to do that, but we've got it in phases, including the gym, so that we've got it in phases to do the different parts. But we can phase it out, but I went ahead and put the entire number there. The next are these roofing projects that have been on my plan for, I know, since I've been in this district. Now, having said that, not since I've been in the district, but since I've been in this position. Having said that, we've been patching. So the roofs are not getting any better. I've done the escalation costs on these, so the costs are up. If you look at your previous document, the costs are up some because it's normally you give 4% per year for escalation. And so these are things that really needs to happen, where you need entire roofs, because we're having, again, with leaky roofs, you get air quality issues, those kinds of things that have to be in place. From there, roll up a little bit. Tom, go up. Yeah. This is the building replacement for the board, and that is going out to the JCPenney piece there. We've estimated that at about a $6 million cost tag. That cost tag would be, we would get that back through the sale of our properties that we would vacate. We're looking to receive most of that back in that particular situation. Next is Houston Hill. That's where Loveless is right now. This is site improvement. This money here, and that's something that we're probably going to have to do sooner than later. This is to put a drive around the school for pickup. As you know now, Ms. Dobbins, it's horrible during pickup time and drop off. Okay? I actually had the pleasure of staying in line on Hall Street back on the other side of Adams for at least 15 minutes.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, ma'am. I'm well aware.
I would block the other way to get out.
Yes, ma'am. And so with this, we've actually looked at having them drive through the student parking lot and going around. There's land there to do that, and we've actually cost that out. And they would go around and stage and pick up on the backside, the car riders pick up on the backside of the school, and then egress right out there on that side. That would take them off the street, and again, we wouldn't have the congestion that we have. But that's what that particular item is for.
Thank you.
And the next is the McIntyre Middle School. Again, I have that up really, really close, is because we've invested quite a bit of money in McIntyre where we had impact there. We don't want to leave it vacant because we may end up having to go ahead and work on the first part again. So we need to go ahead and do the second part, determine what we're going to do for that particular building. It's a sturdy building. You've already spent roughly $4 to $5 million on one phase. This number probably could be decreased. We do have some options on what we want to do that. We've been lucky. The old Loveless building, we don't have a window broken. We don't have a break-in. The Loveless alumni told me that it's hallowed ground. That's why nothing's happened to it. But McIntyre may not be hallowed ground. And so we want to get over there. I hate to have to board up windows. So we need to do something there very, very soon, because we spent quite an investment there to leave it vacant. And that's why I moved that up. The next item that you see is, of course, the Baldwin piece, because it could possibly play into the Houston Hill piece, and that's to go ahead and do a major renovation at Baldwin. Of course, Lanier, this has been long overdue. This is the total renovation piece that we have, which is classrooms, security infrastructure, painting, the whole 9 yards. We cost all of that out for Lanier to go ahead and get them up to that point. It would be a major renovation there. Of course, Capitol Heights Middle School, we do have talked about moving off of that corner, finding a different location, and that's a cost tag for 800 students, June Middle School there. Of course, the BTW piece, we've got to find out what we want to do there. I've cost out several options. This is a cheaper option that we have, and we haven't. I don't think we've discussed it. But that's an option that I will discuss with you all at a later date. But that's an option that we have that we think we can get in that cost figure there with BTW. Also, you have the new Floyd, and we talked about Floyd Elementary, building a new Floyd Elementary. Mr. Porterfield, there were plans for that, and somehow that never materialized. But that's looking at possibly vacating Floyd Middle off the property, going ahead and building the new Floyd Elementary large enough for 600 to 700 students to house both Davis and Floyd, and tear down the old Floyd building as well. So you have that property there. So that's an option that you're looking at where you could actually rid yourself of two particular pieces of property. Of course, the new Lee High School, this price is for 1,800 students, and that's getting Lee off of the corner that they're located. And then everything else pretty much falls into major renovations that we have to do that will come up. But those were the top things that I did want to bring to your attention. At this point, I'll answer any questions.
Mr. Dotson.
Yes, sir.
I thought, matter of fact, I thought about 2-3 years ago, we had done some major HVAC work at Jefferson Davis.
That was only phase one.
Oh, that's right.
That was on, if you recall, when I presented to you, it was like the wing, the inside of the wing.
Okay. I just knew we had.
Right.
How many
Yeah, there's actually five phases because the school is so big. Okay, we've got it broken down into phases. And let me remind you, the reason that this is a critical need is that the boiler is so old. You have a lot of students there, and so there's a lot of pressure in that boiler. The pipes are very, very thin, so those pipes could burst at any time. Once the pipes burst, okay, you've got water and whatnot everywhere because of how you cool those, how you heat up those boilers. And so that's one of the reasons why we want to get out of that boiler. Okay. And so we're pushing that.
You got a total?
The state doesn't actually total it. This is just a working document for the state.
Not for the state, for me.
Oh, no. Oh, I have, what you need is a different document. I have that document.
Yes.
This is all just,
Lots of money.
yeah, this is all this stuff that I have to send it in, touching every school. I have your document. Okay, I have your document.
Because there was another one there.
That was last year. I just want you all to compare.
You were thinking,
Right.
So you got me another document.
Oh, yes, sir, I've got, because the document I have is not only facilities, it's also infrastructure and things of that nature, critical needs.
Mr. Dotson, would you make sure that all of us, all 7 of us get that?
Yes, ma'am. Well, I was actually going to give it to you during our work session.
Oh, okay.
When I present
Perfect,
to you all.
that's great. Okay, thank you very much. All right, we're gonna, one more thing.
Yeah, I'm still here. Tom, do the,
I'm trying
I'm having a
to.
good time.
I'm
Tom,
sorry.
do the
Mr. Dotson.
sign-in sheet first. You should have in your document there 2 job postings for security. Let me begin by saying, if you will kind of reflect back, let's go back 15 years. And you heard Ms. Wood indicate that we only spend 11% of our budget in operations and maintenance. If you go back 15 years, I'm willing to bet that our allocation has not increased very much for our operations and maintenance. But now, for those same 15 years, I want you to just kind of think in your mind of all the things that have happened in this country, in this state, and in this city that has caused us to be reactive and responsive to from a security standpoint. Whether it's something that happens in Connecticut or something that happens in Atlanta, because of social media, it gets around. So we have to react to it. So now, 15 years ago, we didn't have metal detectors. We didn't have 54 security guards. Now we're having to increase all of that with cameras and everything that we're having to increase as far as infrastructure and human resources for security. And it's much like insurance. You're not getting anything out of it, but you're just paying to have it there. But resources have not come up. And so we're hurting. Right now, I think we're 4 security officers down because it's hard to identify and get security people in place. We conducted, Superintendent Allen asked me to conduct a security review team, which I did, and these are the people who are there. Ms. Allen, she didn't sign, but she was there. Mr. Porterfield, you didn't sign, but you were there as well. Okay. You were there. And we had a pretty good discussion. We talked about a myriad of things that we thought needed to happen for security because we were just concerned from the security standpoint of ensuring that not only our students are safe, but also that our staff as well. I mean, there are 2 things that we shoot for: a secure environment, secure access, and a safe environment. Those are the 2 things that we shoot for. And you have to have not only the infrastructure that we put in place, which is cameras, And by the way, I think I've indicated to you before, our cameras, we have some of our cameras that only are carrying sometime up to 8 days. And we need to have at least 60 days. And so that's where we have to buy servers and those kinds of things. And I do have a cost on that. But those are all kind of things that, from a security standpoint, you hate to put that money in it because it's not instruction, but we've got to ensure that people are safe. Now, having said that, Thomas, you put the agenda up for me, please. I'm going to get to what's on the doc. I'm going to get to the job. Okay. This is our agenda. And we talked about a good many things, as you can see. And I just want you to do this to give a background for where I'm going. We talked about external threats. We did a comparison of the incidents that we have. And not that we're saying our schools are bad or unsafe, but we want to deter all of that happening. Because as you all well know, it's not that our schools are safe, it's that what happens in the neighborhood comes into our school. And then we have to deal with that. And that's where our issues come from. If you scroll on up. Okay. We talked about the different involvement that we have. As you can see, the fire safety inspections, the different things that we have going on. Then we talked about the needs. And here we are during the needs. And as we talked about our needs, there were two things that came. The top needs were to have a better trained security guard. They wanted staff trained. They wanted security guards to be de-escalation trained. They wanted security guards to also have a higher level of security guard. Okay, as you know, our 9.5-month security guards basically are, they're not APOS trained, they're not APOS certified, they're not really police officers. Okay, and so we thought that we needed a higher level of security guard that would be more sensitive and attentive to what needed to happen in our schools when something did happen. Again, it's more or less like having insurance. With that, I want to go to the documents that I have. We thought that we would go ahead. The first is Security Guard 2. Now this is a position where probably would be, as you look at the requirements, it's going to be a retired police officer, a retired corrections officer, anyone with the APO certification, okay? And that allows them to carry firearms, those kinds of things, but they're certified. This will be a step up from our regular security guard. We'd like to have that position in the books as part of our staff so that we can have them at the high schools to help when situations have to go awry. Now we also have them, they would also be able to float about into the feeder pattern if something would happen at elementary school or whatever the case may be. Not saying there's anything detrimental with our current security guard, security force, but again, I think Mr. Pruitt, you interviewed 50 something. How many did you interview?
48.
And we ended up with how many? And he jokingly told me a couple of them wouldn't trick or treat, which means they wouldn't make it till October. But again, that's where we're saying we have to have a higher level to keep our children safe. The next one that you see is a 12-month security guard. Now this would be the security guards that we currently have, wouldn't require any further certification, but they would be 12 months. As it stands now, like at the central office over at Fuse, those security guards actually work 12 months. They were paid additionally on their regular 9.5-month salary. This would allow us to have security guards on staff during the summer, and so that they could also cover, because you're already paying them now, because they're working during the summer, but they would just be 12-month employees that we could move around. Also, they would cover the cost of summer school programs. All right, we're paying security guards to come in and do our summer school programs and different things we have during the summer. Then this would alleviate that, because now they'd already be on staff, we just have to assign them. So that piece would go away as well. And so we're looking at, we think that this would help. We would look to maybe, out of our current staff, maybe identify 8 to 10 that we would put at this level, because they're already on staff. We would just make them 12 months. I think this summer we used 18, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Pruitt? Yeah, we used 18 for all the programs, but this was a situation, I think we had more programs this summer than we normally have. Also athletics, okay? Middle school athletics, we're having to put security, have to do having to do metal searches, you have all your high school. So yes, it's very taxing. And so we want to make sure that we have a force that we feel that can safely take care of our children. I'll entertain any questions.
I have a
I have
couple.
just no questions, but
I have a question.
very, ladies first.
Yes, ma'am.
I am very happy to see this, number one, because we have our security officers working for us, but we need people that are sensitive to the needs of our students. And I feel like the people that you already have, if you could move, you know, so many of them to the 12-month, because I know a couple of situations I had to call you about, and you took care of it. But they know our students, they know the culture of our students and the sites and all of that. The first thing we need to have at the top of our list is the safety of our students. And this will bring about a lot more safety than we already have. And they don't mind working if they know that they're 12 months and they're gonna have to be here 12 months instead of trying to figure out whether I'm working for 12 months, because you pull them from one place or the other anyway. But if we have them on staff, that's 12 months. I see this as a plus.
Mike, I think just a couple of questions, and I don't know if this is, it's just maybe my lack of understanding, but the first year you say, for the security guard too, is experience in law enforcement. And then on this security guard for 12 months, security-related field. I want to know, what is that security-related field?
With that, it's
I
not.
mean, you identify, so well, if you worked in a security-related field, what are we talking about?
Well, those are the security guards that we hire right now. They could have worked with a security company, like the guys that we hire right here to do those kinds of things. Just have a security-related background. It doesn't have to be explicitly law enforcement. That's what we're hiring now.
Okay.
It doesn't have to.
In other words, previous security
Related
experience.
field, like
Okay. Right. Yeah, but with the other one, we want a specific law enforcement experience.
And here, you list this beginning salary for the two, but there's no beginning salary for the plumber.
You should have a.
Do you have it?
Did you have a? You always have that?
No. So you
Yeah,
gave a
you should have a
salary
salary
for the
schedule.
security team, but you didn't do anything for the 12 month.
12 months. It should be. I thought it did. It's the level 2 on the trade.
I'm talking about the job posting.
Right.
he attached that.
I attached it. It's a level 2 on the tradesman.
You see how?
It's a level 2.
Level 2 on the tradesman that you should have attached.
We got it. We got it. You can.
So how many of these new level 2s are you proposing to hire?
4.
Any other questions or comments?
And will they be existing employees that are going to be promoted, trained, or these
No.
are 4?
These will be 4 new. The others will be existing. The ones with the 4 that I'm talking about, this will have to be those that, again, have APO certification, law enforcement, that they would be able to do that, and they would help circulate in the feeder pattern.
Yeah, I understand. So we're going to keep our existing force at the number of officers we have.
Yeah, that number won't change. Right.
For highly qualified.
Well, you're already down 4 as it is. We're still 4 short. So that'll be the 4 that you'll hire to replace those. They'll just be the level 2, the 4 that we're going to hire. Then we can move around the others.
Mr. Dotson, have y'all sat down with our CSFO? I mean, how are we doing budget-wise for hiring these?
I haven't sat down with her. I wanted to get it approved first, and we may not can hire, but I wanted it on the books.
Okay.
We can't. I mean, we totally understand. But I thought it was incumbent to go ahead and put it before you that this is a need.
Yeah, it's me. You hadn't posted this yet.
No, nothing, but you got to approve it. But I wanted to present it now. Whether we can afford it or not, I don't
When you
know.
look at the back of your agenda, it's up.
That's good. But then it's approved, that means you
But
got
I
to
mean,
have
but very good. As long as funds are available, they always put.
Oh, yeah,
that in.
okay. I got you.
Have a question?
Yeah, that works.
Thank you, Mr. Dotson.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, next item, Dr. Nettles, the certified and classified personnel evaluation. Happy birthday. Thank you. look at your bag.
Birthday bag.
Well, happy
I had to be here, and I want to share it with you.
Not on your birthday. I mean, you don't share information, you're supposed to take your birthday to yourself.
Mr. Porterfield, what makes MPS work is the dedication of all its
That's
employees.
and that's one, work on your birthday. That speaks volumes.
Yes, it does, especially since you all were so eager to get me up here.
I
Good afternoon. Good evening. Good evening. What you have before you is an addendum. So before you look at the addendum, let's talk about what you should have received.
Okay.
You should have received 2 handbooks related to certified evaluation policy and classified evaluation policy. The handbook is a response to the policy. If you remember when we had the policy discussion earlier, the policy stands, and what we determined as a central office is that we would not need to change the policy every time we changed the procedures of the handbook. And we wanted to be in line with other departments in the system and create a handbook. And this would be the handbook that would have all of the information about the processes and the procedures, and the handbook will be available to all central office, all evaluatees, that would be all teachers and all certified staff, and all of the evaluators. Because I'm making a practice to make sure that all of the evaluators have the same information as the evaluatees and vice versa. So everybody's on the same page. So what you've been able to preview is the handbook. The addendum is a page that was left out accidentally. And also, if you remember when we discussed the process of the classified evaluation and certified evaluation, we have been talking with the principals about progressive discipline. And it's not a new topic in the system, but we wanted it on paper and we wanted it as a part of the process. But as you're reading the document, you'll see that progressive discipline does not have to be a part of the evaluation process. But if it's going to be used as a part of the evaluation process, we wanted that documented and in hand so that everybody would be aware of that process and aware of the possibility.
That's in state guidelines.
Ma'am?
In state guidelines.
Yes, ma'am. The state's evaluation process allows us to frame what we're going to do as an evaluation process once we've established what their protocol is. And so we've established their protocol of teaching effectiveness, but progressive discipline is a process that we implement in our system that really allows principals to address concerns, but it allows the teacher or the evaluatee to actually progress to a change, as opposed to one letter creates or one concern creates a demerit, a demotion, or whatever that word would be. You have an opportunity to progress to change. And that formative evaluation or that formative discipline actually works well with the formative evaluation process. Progressive discipline last year in the evaluation training was a part of the training for evaluators, and they were to turn that over to their faculty. This year, it's a part of the evaluator training, and it's to be documented as a part of the training for the evaluatees. It's also a part of the classified evaluation protocol also. So now everybody is aware of what the possibilities are and what that means. Yes,
I
sir.
remember back in the day,
Uh-huh.
we had policy handbooks. What each of our employees, certified as well as the classified, be provided one of these handbooks. They should be aware of what they're going to be. They should be aware of what you're looking for as it relates to their being evaluated. So certainly I would think that each person that works in this district, whether it's certified or classified, be provided this tool.
Yes, sir.
They understand more to make sure they are aware. You know, sometimes folks say, well, I was not aware.
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
This has been a long time coming, and we're ready. We're excited. Thank you. I think it's a big step. I do too. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you for my birthday. Happy birthday.
Are you about to leave?
Are you going to sing?
I'm saying you're about to leave to go have your party.
She wants to sing.
Oh, see, yes, I can.
For you to speak about the general framework for the new contracting procedure. The reason that this procedure is being modified is to streamline the procedure and provide for more efficient and effective administration in the area of contracting. And so I made some notes about what the new process will look like, but even before I get into this, I want to be clear that we're still working out the nuts and bolts of this process, but we just wanted to make you aware of what was coming down the pike. So first, the process is going to be streamlined to the central office. All contracts in the district are going to be routed through the central office. And in the central office, all contracts will be reviewed. This part makes me very happy. Will be reviewed to ensure that key provisions are actually included in the contract, i.e. non-appropriation clauses, termination clauses, prices, payment terms, all of those types of things. So we're going to be vetting those contracts in the central office to ensure that those things are included. Number two, we're also going to be vetting the contracts to ensure that inappropriate clauses are not included, i.e. out-of-state venue clauses that says if we have a dispute, we have to resolve it in Maine versus Alabama. I have not had a contract yet, and I know Mr. Rudolph has been doing contracting even before I got here, so he can testify to this. Generally, every time we have to negotiate a contract, venue is something that vendors take into account when they're doing business with school districts. So when I get a contract with a Massachusetts choice of law provision, it's very easy to call and generally say we need to change the choice of law provision to Alabama. They kind of know it as a cost of doing business with us. But again, if the contracts aren't routed through the central office, everybody else doesn't know those things and need to do that. So this is one of the things we're fixing. Another big one is indemnification clauses. Our state constitution does not allow for public entities such as Montgomery County Board of Education to indemnify other agencies. Every single contract that we receive has some type of indemnification provision. So those are things that we have to similarly alter. These things are actually, they seem small, but they're actually very key. Because if a dispute does arise, having to go to Massachusetts to defend it could be extremely costly. And as it relates to the indemnification, that's something literally just actually illegal. Like we can't do it, according to the law. They're also going to be vetted to ensure that there is a proper funding source for the contract. These are things that happen in finance. Finance for the contract. No, I'm sorry, they happen in finance to make sure that we have the funding source. So those are the things that they're going to be coming to the central office to be, that are going to be vetted. Principals and department heads will be provided fill-in-the-blank contract templates to facilitate a seamless process. All right, so everybody's not going to have to draft a complicated contract like I do for something big like Appleton. That's like a 30-page contract with a million provisions. For just simple transactions, we'll have just a fill-in-the-blank template contract where they can just plug in the parties, plug in the price, and then there will be a process here for vetting those things. The board will approve an amount under which and the circumstances under which the superintendent can expend funds without board approval. Any contracts, number one, properly processed through the central office, and number two, that are under the superintendent's expenditure limit will be forwarded directly to the superintendent for signature, and any contracts that are over the superintendent's expenditure limit will all come to the board for approval, and they're going to come to the board in the form of a contracting report. So in addition to receiving a bid report, you all are going to receive a contracting report. The contracting report is going to include three things. It's going to include the parties of the contract, the amount of the contract, and the purpose and nature of the contract, which we call the material terms of the contract. So similar to your bid report, say if we get 25 contracts in this month that are above the spending limit, all of those contracts with the material terms will be on that report. Now, my goal is to not include the actual contracts with it because our board packets are already this big. But with the material terms, if you see a contract that you have questions about, then you just ask for it, and then we can forward the actual contract to you for review. But by an item getting on the actual contracting report, that means that they have already been vetted by the central office for key provisions included, inappropriate provisions excluded, and proper funding sources. And whatever other administrative central office approval that happens before it gets to us with the legal. Reasonable deadlines are going to be established to ensure adequate time for central office process. And we imagine that we already anticipating some glitches in streamlining this process. I promise you, whatever processes we go through, we're gonna make sure that we have buy-in from principals and department heads to say, hey, let's figure out what you have going on in your department and how much time do you need. Well, first we'll be vetting where they'll be located in the central office and how much time will be needed there to process it. And then we'll try to backtrack to see how much of a window we need to give principals and department heads to turn it in so that we can turn it around and get it board approved quickly. It should be easier with those template contracts because all the provisions are going to be the same. We're just looking at party, price, and that kind of, and termination provision, which will probably be a fill in the blank as well. And duration, I'm sorry, that's another piece that I didn't put on here. Every effort will be made to ensure that deadlines and guidelines refrain from presenting an undue hardship on principals and department heads in procuring goods and services. So the superintendent and her designees, it's probably going to be the superintendent, Ms. Whitten, Mr. Rudolph, and myself will be getting together to kind of make sure we have this process outlined clearly. And once we get the more detailed framework together, we'll come back and present it on the board. And at that point, of course, there'll be trainings with all of the department heads and that kind of stuff. But remember, they will have buy-in before we lay out the procedure, especially as it relates to those timelines. Because I don't think they really want to be dealing with this, so I think they will be more than happy to sit this somewhere else. The key is going to be the time frames. Like, at what point do you have to get it in and what point we can turn it around. So that's just a general framework, and when we get the more detailed guidelines, maybe we'll put it in a book like Dr. Nettles, something that's looking really nice, and and then we'll go from there with it. But we just wanted to let you know that this is, an area that we recognize that we needed more efficient administration in, and we are streamlining that process to make that happen. Kind of get it before it goes bad.
Thank you, Ms. Perkins. Any questions? Thank you. We really appreciate your diligence in this. Okay, now we are on the consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Second.
All those in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries with 7 votes. Correct,
Right.
yes. 9A, personnel report.
Yes, I recommend the approval of the personnel report, certified and support personnel, and support personnel addendum 1.
Madam President, I move that we adopt the superintendent's recommendation for the personnel report, certified and support personnel, and support personnel addendum 1.
Second. Any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. Motion, opposed? Okay, motion carries with 6 votes, 1 opposed. All right, next item is the proclamation in support of peace.
Yes, I recommend the approval of the proclamation in support of peace within MGM and especially MPS Peace Day, September 21, 2016.
Madam President, I move that we approve the proclamations for the support of peace within MGM, and we're doing chess too?
Just doing the
Just doing
each
it.
day. That's peace.
Proclamation.
Second. All right, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries. Are you?
Peace
Oh,
Day.
sorry, yes, okay, we're on 7 votes. I'm sorry, I couldn't see Ms. Collins. Okay, C, resolution for chess and school project.
Yes, I recommend approval of the resolution for chess in school.
Madam President, I move that we adopt the superintendent's recommendation for resolution for Chestnut School
Second.
project.
All those in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries with 7 votes. Lanier bathroom renovation.
Yes, I recommend the approval of Lanier bathroom renovations project.
Madam President, I move that we accept the the superintendent's recommendation for the Lanier bathroom renovations.
Second.
All those in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries with 7 votes. Security guard and campus security guard, 12 months.
Yes, I recommend these 2 positions, security guard 2 and campus security guard 12 months.
Madam President, I move that we accept the superintendent's recommendation for security guard 2 and campus security guard 12 months.
Could we add, as long as funds,
As long as
That's what I was
funds
gonna
are
ask
available.
too.
Can we do
Yes,
that?
yes, we can. Security guard 2 and campus security guard 12 months as long as funds are available.
Because I know there are several positions that we've discussed recently where
Yes.
Right.
we need to have a bake sale.
As long as
Yes.
funds are available.
Second.
All those in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries with 7 votes.
And this is another that you received a while back, I think last month. But I recommend the professional learning community coaches too. Now, these will be out of Title II federal funds.
And that's what we discussed
Right.
at our
Right,
work session.
absolutely.
Okay.
Madam President, I move that we accept, the superintendent's recommendation for the professional learning community coaches.
I can just second.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries with 7 votes. All right, we're going to now move into executive session for real property discussion. Do I have a motion? And potential litigation. Do I have a motion? I'm voting. Okay, I've got a motion.
Second.
All right, all those in favor, raise your hand. Opposed? Okay, motion carries with 6 votes.
Madam President,